6 already in the college football world. Well, I guess for some people, because some people are starting late, some people are game canceled. It's still week 6. Anyways, right off the bat this weekend, there's a great matchup between Coastal Carolina and Louisiana. This game's got me excited. So I'm going to write my notes, and ESPN doesn't have the spread or over-under for this game. Coastal Carolina is coming in at 3-0, 1-0 in their conference. Louisiana, number 23 in the nation, they're coming in at 3-0, 2-0 in their conference. Coastal Carolina is coming off of their win against Arkansas State, and Louisiana is coming off their win against Georgia Southern that was very close to being a loss. Coastal Carolina leaders, Grayson McCall, 728 yards, 9 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's having himself a fantastic year so far. Their leading rusher is CJ Marable, 190 yards, 3 touchdowns. Leading receiver is Javion Hillay, 219 yards and 3 touchdowns. Leading tackler is Silas Kelly with 21 tackles. The Louisiana leaders passing Levi Lewis. We'll get talking about Levi Lewis actually in a bit. 723 yards, 4 touchdowns and 3 interceptions on the year. Running back Elijah Mitchell, 210 yards, 2 touchdowns. Receiving leader Peter LeBlanc, 194 yards and 1 touchdown. And Lorenzo McCaskill with 36 tackles on the year so far. In this game, my player to watch is Levi Lewis for numerous reasons. Levi Lewis is 265 yards away from breaking the 5,000 yards passing in a career. 6th player in school history to do so. He ranks 4th in touchdowns. Right now he's got 39 in his career. The school record is 64, held by Jake Delhomme back in 1993 to 1996. Coastal Carolina is starting off their best year in the 4 years they've been in the FBS. So a lot of at stake, a lot of things are at stake here for this game. Like I said Levi Lewis is my player to watch in this game. He's got so much going for him in this game, possibly breaking records. Obviously not the touchdown one. He's still well away from that, but the passing, when he is, I think he can do it. This is a tough matchup. I highlighted that Coastal Carolina is scoring 44.3 points a game. That's important for Louisiana. They got to keep them under. I say they have to keep them under 30 points to win this game. I do think they do. I think Louisiana wins this game 31-28. Like I said, hold them under 30. They'll just do that, and they'll slip away with the win. Won't surprise me if this game goes some overtime, some free football, but that's what I'm looking for in this game. Next game is UL Monroe at Liberty. One's coming in 0-4, the other one's coming in at 3-0. So very different starts to the season, although I do think ULM is a little tougher of a team than what the record says, at least more recent games. Liberty's favored by 19.5. The over-under is 61. Louisiana Monroe coming off of a loss to Georgia Southern, 35-30. And Liberty is coming off of a win from North Alabama, 28-7. ULM leaders, Colby Suits, over 1,000 yards already passing, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, so he certainly hasn't played bad this year. Rushing Josh Johnson, 148 yards, 2 touchdowns. Receiving Josh Peterson, 174 yards. Leading tackler is Travion Webster with 33 tackles, and he is an athlete. I say in every video, he's fantastic. Liberty leaders passing Malik Willis, 418 yards, 2 touchdowns. Rushing Joshua Mack, 337 yards and a touchdown. Receiving DJ Stubbs, 177 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Anthony Butler is their leading tackler with 21 tackles on the year. Player to watch is Joshua Mack, running back for Liberty. ULM, the scary thing here is they're only scoring 15 points a game. That is going to be an issue. Meanwhile, Liberty, they're putting up 31 points a game. And ULM's also giving up a lot of points per game. I mean, that last game against Georgia Southern was better. They lost by 5 points, 35-30, so it was much better for them. But overall, has been a really upsetting year. I think it'll continue to be an upsetting year. I think this game is going to be close, and then I think Liberty will start pulling away just a little. I think Liberty will win 33-20. Next game is UTSA at BYU. Honestly, I'm not even get to team leaders or anything like that. I don't think there's a need for it. The over-under is 63.5. BYU is favored by 34.5. I think that's actually low, but BYU coming off of that beating they gave to Louisiana Tech, and UTSA is coming off of a loss to UAB. My player to watch, obviously, is Zach Wilson. He's been phenomenal. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I think he should be up for the Heisman right now. I'm not even playing around. I think BYU is going to win big, 63-14. This game will be over in the first or second quarter. The only bright side that maybe UTSA has a chance of keeping this thing close is their running back, Sincere McCormick. I mean, UTSA, they're 3-1. I don't think they're as good as the record is. Like I said, I'm taking BYU win big here. I mean, BYU outscored their first three opponents 148-24. That is ridiculous. It's the BYU's best start. Their best ranking since 2009, where they were ranked number 7. It's their first matchup, these two, and I don't think it's going to go well for UTSA, as I said. BYU leads the nation in total offense and total defense, 585.7 yards of offense and 214.3 yards given up on defense. Zach Wilson has as many touchdowns as incompletions. Note that. I'm not too sure how many players have done that since, but the only player I remember right off the top of my head that has done that last time was Robert Griffin III. So as I said, I think BYU wins big, 63-14. I don't think it's an issue for them at all. Next game is Texas State at Troy. Texas State coming in at 1-3, 1-0 in their conference. Troy coming in 1-1. Troy's favored by 7.5. The over/under is 59. Texas State coming off of that lost to Boston College 24-21. They were close. They had them. BC came back. Again, Texas State close in games and just cannot finish the game. Troy's coming off of their whooping to BYU from BYU, 48-7. That game was. Texas State leaders Tyler Vitt, 602 yards, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Leading rusher is Calvin Hill with 251 yards, 3 touchdowns. Leading receiver Jeremiah Haydell, 237 yards and 3 touchdowns. Leading tackler is Gavin Graham with 28 tackles. Troy leaders Gunnar Watson, 410 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Leading rushers B.J. Smith, 97 yards and 1 touchdown. Leading receivers Khalil McLean, 84 yards, 2 touchdowns. And leading tackler Jaden McDonald with 13. My player to watch is Troy quarterback Gunnar Watson. See how well he performs in this. Is a big difference in this game. Troy, they just got their behinds beat by BYU. I think that's going to be the case for most opponents that play BYU. But I think Troy bounced back. Texas State shows me they can't, except for one game, they can't win the close game or win the majority of the time. I think Troy's going to win a close one, 28-23. It'll be another game where Texas State is in position to win and they will lose. Next game is Middle Tennessee State at Florida International. Florida International is favored by 4 points. The over-under is 56.5. Middle Tennessee State, rough year for them. 0-4, 0-2 in the conference. FIU just had their first game. They're 0-1 in this game, coming into this game. I'll go ahead right into talking about Middle Tennessee State quarterback Asher O'Hara. He had a great start to the season, but he's had no help. I mean, he's got 744 yards on the year and 4 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. But he's also their leading rusher, And at the beginning of the year, him and his coach said they want him to do a little less running. So that's obviously a given that other people couldn't step up or aren't stepping up. As he's got 222 yards and 2 touchdowns rushing on the year. They're averaging only 16.5 points a game. That's going to be a problem, I think, in this game. In their last game, in Florida International's last game, they put up 34 points. I think this game will stay close. The player to watch, it's not even a player to watch. It's someone on Middle Tennessee State's offense stepping up other than Asher O'Hara. He needs help. He hasn't played the best himself, but when you come out and you say you want your quarterback to run less, a little less, take the load off, he shouldn't be your leading rusher. Someone needs to step up on that offense. Whether they do or not, I think Florida International will win the game 27-21. Next game is Florida Atlantic at Southern Miss. Florida Atlantic is favored by 2.5 points, 57.5 for the over-under. Florida Atlantic coming in 1-0. Southern Miss coming in at 1-3, 1-1 in their conference. I guess we'll just jump right into leaders. Florida Atlantic leader Nick Tronti for passing and rushing, 98 yards passing, 94 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns passing, 1 rushing touchdown for him. Leading receiver is TJ Chase with 31 yards and a touchdown. Jack Abraham for Southern Miss, though. I think he can be a game changer. He's played really well this year. Over 1,100 yards passing, 7 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. So he can definitely be a game changer here. Frank Gore Jr. just came off of his best game of his career so far, his young career. He's on the year 208 yards and a touchdown. And their leading tackler, Hayes Maples, with 38. Player to watch is definitely Nick Tronti. I mean, he didn't blow anyone's mind away passing the ball last game against Charlotte. He did what he needed to do, running and passing, and he won the game. So I think, depending how well he controls the game, I think Florida Atlantic wins this game. I think they're going to win 34-27. If Southern Miss can get Frank Gore Jr. really rolling, I think they'll have a strong chance. I just don't see it happening. Florida Atlantic, I think, wins this game. I mean, Florida Atlantic bringing in an 8-game winning streak to Southern Miss. Florida Atlantic, though, they played no games in September. 2 were canceled, 2 were postponed. They just played their last game last week against Charlotte, like I said. Florida Atlantic still scored 3 on their first 3 drives. That's impressive to come off of a year. You didn't play all of September and you score your first 3 drives. That's impressive. One thing I could say about Southern Miss is they aren't very happy about the way the season has gone. They start the year against Southern Alabama, I believe, and they won the game, surprisingly. And then they just haven't been able to really get any momentum off of that. Next game is East Carolina at USF. USF is favored by 4. The over-under is 55.5. Both these teams coming off of losses. USF coming off the Cincinnati loss, 28-7. And East Carolina coming off of that beating they took to Georgia State, 49-29. Leading passer, quarterback Holton Ahlers, 451 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's really going to be a key in this game. On top of it, USF's quarterbacks, all of them that played. But Holton Ahlers is my player to watch in this game. Also, points allowed per game for East Carolina so far is 50. That is going to be a huge number in this game. They can't give up 50 points. USF has had a rough year. They played Notre Dame. They played Cincinnati. They've been thrown around enough already. Couple of pregame notes for this game. Both teams are coming in looking for their first American Conference win. Big thing to note is the Pirates are yet to get a sack on an opposing quarterback. So no pass rush. They're terrible in the turnover differential. I think they're dead last at -4. And their defense, 12 opposing teams, 12 trips to their red zone, 12 scores. 5 passing, 4 rushing, 3 field goals. So they can't get off the field, and you have to force some turnovers when the opposing team is in the red zone. You have to, or you're never going to win a game, because they're just pretty much walking into your end zone, and it's free points every time. 12 for 12 for other teams in your red zone is not good at all. They got to avoid turnovers. Back when they played UCF, they had 3 fumbles in a row. Stuff like that they got to cut out. And for USF, they really need to figure out their quarterback situation. They've played 4 quarterbacks in 3 games. They got to figure that out. They got to find their guy, and he's got to step up. As I said, Holton Ahlers is my player to watch in this, see how well he performs and plays. East Carolina's defense got to step it up. They can't give up 50 points a game. I don't think they do that. I think East Carolina wins this game 33-27. Only really because the quarterback situation for USF, it's really not good. 4 quarterbacks in 3 games, not good at all. Next game we'll talk about is UTEP at Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech is favored by 15.5. Over/under is 52 for this game. UTEP coming in 3-1. Louisiana Tech coming in at 2-1, 1-0 in the conference. Louisiana Tech, another victim of BYU, 45-14, and UTEP coming off of a win against UL Monroe, 31-6. Player to watch for this game is Luke Anthony, quarterback for Louisiana Tech. 654 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions on the year. He's had a great year so far. I think he's the big difference, especially with UTEP only scoring 18.8 points a game. Also, UTEP is also allowing 251 yards passing a game. So I think that's a matchup they like. I think it's a matchup they exploit, and I think Louisiana Tech wins 38-23. Next game is Marshall at Western Kentucky. Marshall is favorite by 7. The over-under is 44.5. Marshall's last game was against Appalachian State when they won 17-7. Western Kentucky coming off a win against Middle Tennessee State. Still, it's a win. It's impressive, I guess. Definitely player to watch, for better or worse in this game, is quarterback for Western Kentucky, Tyrell Pigrome. He has 498 yards, 6 touchdowns passing, and 197 yards rushing. Can he manage the game without turning the game over? Marshall's playing really good defense. They're only giving up 265 yards a game and only 3.5 points per game. That's the matchup. Can Tyrell Pigrome get some help and put up some points on this Marshall defense? I don't think they will. I think Marshall's going to win 27-10. Next game is Charlotte at North Texas. Charlotte is favored by 3. The over-under is 67.5. Both teams coming not so hot of records. 0-2, 0-1 in the conference for Charlotte, and 1-2 and 0-1 in the conference for North Texas. So player to watch for me is Oscar Attaway III, running back for North Texas. Usually North Texas is a passing team, but Charlotte is giving up 262.5 rushing yards a game. That is not good. That's why I picked Oscar Attaway to be the player to watch. I think if he runs wild, I think North Texas will win. North Texas, as I said in my recap and predictions last week, they have some issues on defense, injury-wise and whatnot. But I think North Texas will win 42-34. So 2 other games that they didn't have anything up for was Tulane at Houston. Houston is going to play their first game of the year. Tulane, it's really hard to make what they are or whatnot. I think Houston's going to come in. I think they're going to perform well. They've had time to watch some tape. I don't think it's going to be enough first game of the year. I think Tulane will walk away with this one. Not walk away. I think they'll win. It'll be a close one. Next game they had nothing on is Temple and Navy. Temple is also playing their first game of the year. Navy, we know that they've been struggling hard. Temple's had some time to sit back and watch. Navy last week, that beating to Air Force. I picked Navy to beat Air Force. I thought they'd be a little bit more prepared when Air Force hasn't played yet. Temple hasn't played either, but I don't think that matters. Navy proved that last week against Air Force. I think Temple will beat Navy. And that pretty much does it for Week 6 predictions. Recap, of course, Sunday. Please remember to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well. More content on the way. Just so everyone knows, I'm also thinking about starting a new series where it's School of the Week or maybe Player of the Week or something like that, past, recent, or present. We'll see how things go with that. And that's it.